Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So, going to do an analysis video for tomorrow. Hopefully you watched my weekend analysis preview earlier this week, and you'll know roughly who I'm going to talk about anyway. But just in case you haven't seen that, here are my selections for today. No, sorry, for tomorrow. And we will start off in the 1240 at Haydock. Now, you'll also notice if you watched my video on Tuesday, I think it was, that some of those that were top rated are now not top rated. They might be RTR2, but that's not really an issue for me. I think that means that with those stats we had a few days ago, they were top rated. Maybe the trainer isn't in quite as good a form, or something has just switched them around slightly. But I still highlighted those that I think were looking at the right races. They've come to the right race. And they will be my selections for tomorrow. And we'll start off with Real Stone. Now, the reason I like Real Stone is twofold. One, he was top rated earlier this week, but he was also entered in another race at Ascot where he wouldn't have had a chance. He was bottom rated that day, and yet they've come here, which for me suggests that they are coming here to win this race. They're not coming here. If they wanted to get a run into the horse, they would have sent him to Ascot. Now, obviously, they didn't need to get a run into him because he's already had a run. He had a run 2 weeks ago. He finished fourth. It wasn't a bad effort, but he kind of ran similar to Freya Dam, who I'm going to talk about later. Travelled quite nicely and then didn't finish his race off. Now, there has been a suggestion that Dan's horses haven't been running well first time up. That's absolutely rubbish. Check the stats. They have been running fine. I just think Real Stone was one of those who did need a run. Harry's obviously here, which is always a benefit. You can see he's got pretty good stats at the track. He is the best jockey out of those 5 at the track. And yeah, I think he will go very, very close here. He is still progressive, particularly over this 2 mile trip. If we actually look at his runs over 2 mile, he had a couple of runs over hurdles, including finishing 2nd and 4th to Grumpy Charlie. And then he was stepped up in trip, fell over hurdles. He then won a novice hurdle over 2 mile 5. He then went chasing over 2 mile 3, 2 mile 4. Eventually they dropped him back to 2 mile and he did win. He won a handicap chase over 2 mile at Foslas. They then stepped him back up in trip, and again that didn't work. He finished 2nd to Blackjack Magic. It probably wasn't a bad effort still. But I just think he's better over 2 mile. He can really use his stamina over 2 mile. He returned this season over 2 mile. But as I said, I think he needed the run that day. The fences being omitted wouldn't have helped him because he jumps pretty well normally. And yeah, I think he is the one to beat in this 1240 at Haydock. With that in mind, he's currently 7-4. I think I would probably have it out of him and Cheddleton. I do like Pay the Piper, but I'm waiting for him for a race that I think he can go really well at. And hopefully we can start off with Real Stone winning at Haydock. You notice I keep refreshing the ratings. That's because soon we will have the silks as well and the odds. The process is just running in the background to get those. The second race I wanted to talk about was the graduation chase at Ascot. The graduation chase at Haydock. And if you're looking at our ratings, I kind of feel there is a horse that we should be backing here. I wanted her to find a slightly easier race, but she hasn't. She's coming here instead. But if we look at the R figures of Apple Away, they're better than Gaillard de Menil. Grey Dawning has one good figure, but Apple Away actually has a figure better than that as well. She gets the mare's allowances again. I think Apple Away is the one to beat in this race at 2-1, rather than Gaillard de Menil. Now, Gaillard de Menil obviously has some good form, but his last 2 runs have been over 3 mile 5 and 4 mile 2 in the Grand National. Now, for me, what that does is that can sometimes stunt their speed, and they just lose a little bit of their speed, and they end up relying on stamina rate late on in the races. And 2 mile 5, I just wonder whether this might feel a bit too quick. Now he's 7. He's had too many runs over long distances. He has been beaten quite a few times over this distance as well. He was 3rd to Capodanno at Naas in 2021. He was third to Galopin Des Champs, and granted it was Galopin Des Champs. He was second to Mighty Potter. He was third to Mighty Potter, and who else beat him? It was a bit of a surprise that day in the Grade 1. I'm just trying to find out, looking at my other screen at the moment. Adamantly Chosen. So Adamantly Chosen shouldn't be beating Gallo Dominio over this trip. And I just wonder whether that might be what happens again. He just finds that A, he needs the run, and B, this isn't far enough now. And I think that puts me on nicely to Apple Away, who at 2-1 I think is worth a bet here for Lucinda Russell and Derek Fox. We then move on to the 220 at Haydock. This is another one where the ratings have slightly changed, but I'm still keen on the horse that I'm going to talk about, and that is Crambo. Now, obviously, the owner has come out and said today that he's actually had a bet on Crambo for the Stairs Hurdle, and if he's going to be a Grade 1 horse, he's going to need to win this off 11 stone 10. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I quite like him as well. Crambo is Fergal O'Brien. Now, he's had a run. He won it at Aintree. I think the step up on Triple Suit, and he beat Santos Bleu that day. Staying on, looks stronger than Santos Bleu in the finish. Now, Santos Bleu, it does reoppose, and Santos Bleu is Dan Skelton. So instantly I'd be like, okay, surely Harry's going to ride it this time. He's not. Ben Sutton keeps the ride. Now, I know Ben Sutton is the son, I believe, of the owner, so you can understand why Ben's keeping the ride. But then Dan is also running Sherlock Jack, who's owned by the same people as Crambo. Well, if the owners of Crambo really have had a bet on him for the Stayers, Sherlock Jack isn't going to win. Dan Skelton's running both because he feels maybe Santos Bleu can't reverse that form against Crambo, which kind of puts two of the dangers out of my mind. Personally, I don't think Sherlock Jack or Santos Bleu can therefore beat Crambo. Slate Lane could be well handicapped. I'm hoping he's not. Dubrovnik Harry ran a good race for fourth recently in a Pertemps final, but I just don't think he's got the progression that I think Crambo has. And Lord Snooty is being, I think he's now second favourite or third favourite. Lord Snooty is like third favourite, but I just don't really have him down as potentially a Grade 1 horse, whereas I do for Crambo. Highlighted him at the beginning of the week. I said, hopefully Slate Lane and Lord Snooty do get declared, because then you might get a bit of a better price about Crambo. You did. You got 7-2, 3-1. That's now all gone as well. He's now top price 11-4, because these two bookmakers are just fake bookmakers. You won't get any bets on with them, or if you do and you win, you get restricted. So you might get 11-4 about Crambo. If you didn't watch my previous video where I said as soon as he's declared, you kind of need to get on that. So Crambo is one I'm really keen on in the Serial Winners Stayers Handicap Hurdle. Just going back to that, if there was a bet, an each way bet in the race, it's Bold Endeavour for me. I think he's a better horse than what he's currently rated. I think he will run well. It's all about the ground. Is it good to soft? Soft in places. If it was good to soft all over, I'd be more keen on Bold Endeavour. But I think Crambo is a graded horse running in a handicap personally. The next one I want to talk about is in the 3 o'clock. And to be honest, 4-5 about Bravesman's Game, I don't think is a bad price. I think he'll win this race. His R figures are better than Protectorat. Protectorat also, every time he runs against something that I feel is decent, he gets beat by them. Ahoy Senor, Galopin Des Champs, Clan des Obeaux, Aplutar. I know he won this race last year and beat Aplutar, but Aplutar was not the horse he was. You take that, the disappointing run out from Aplutar, he was beating Eldorado Allen. That's not good enough form from Protectorat. You go back to when he won at Aintree, he was beating the 11-year-old Native River. The rest of them were handicappers. Not top-class graded horses. You then look at the last time he also won a Grade 1 at Aintree, he beat the Shunter. The Shunter is not a top-class Grade 1 horse. Bravesman's Game is. Bravesman's Game, I'd be really disappointed now he's had that run if he doesn't win here. Bravesman's Game beats some really good horses. He can get beat by horses, but he gets beat by those that are like the top Grade 1 horses. Protectorat is not that. Correct Ramblers being aimed at the Grand National again, and Royal Pagaille likes soft ground, but will just plug on and might beat Protectorat if Protectorat tries to take on Brave Man's Game. But I genuinely feel that this could be quite an easy ride for Daryl Jacob. He won't need to do a lot. Just jump nicely, make the running if you want, go forward, make the running, and I don't think the others will be able to keep up with him. And as I said, at 4 to 5, he was even money when they reopened the market when he was finally declared. That was all I said. He was 11 to 8 earlier this week, and based on will he run, yes, and I think he'll win this quite nicely. So let's move to Ascot. Let's just refresh this to see if we've got the odds yet. The silks and that all in. Let's move to Ascot, and the first horse we do, which is great. Let's just go back and have a look at those again. Looking much better now. I always think the ratings don't look quite as good until we get the silks. There we go, we've got some silks. Some silks. Yep, silks are in. Right, okay, let's go to Ascot. Shishkin beats Pictory. Look at the R figures that Shishkin's achieved. High 150s, low 160s. What has Pictory achieved? A 154.7. A 154.7 here is Shishkin in his last 10 would have beaten him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drawn with him once. Got beat when he pulled up and got beat here, but obviously I'm looking at his top figure. Shishkin wins this comfortably. Shishkin actually took him on before, didn't he, at this track, and absolutely walloped him when he won over 2 mile 5 in the in the Betfair Ascot Chase. He beat Pictory by 16. I think Shishkin should be even shorter. I think Shishkin should be 1 to 2, 1 to 3. If you wanted to have a little double, you could do Shishkin and Brave Man's Game. I think they'll both win quite comfortably. The next one I want to talk about is in the 205 at Ascot, and I think this is a horse that I'm hoping Paul Nicholls knows what type of horse he's got here, and that horse is Blue King Daru. Now, again, Blue King Daru could have run in the handicap yesterday and probably would have won it. I think he would have won it. Now, Blue King Daru was probably a bit of a surprise when winning at 50 to 1 at the back end of last season. When did he win that? April 2023. He won at 50 to 1. But I think Paul believed he was a better horse than that anyway. I mean, he started him off in a grade 2 trial when he went off 6 to 4 at Cheltenham. That didn't work, and maybe he just took a bit of time to acclimatise, having come over from France. He then won that race, the juvenile handicap, and then finished second in a conditionals race at Aintree, behind Punctuation. Now, that actually wasn't that much of a surprise either. If you look at Punctuation's form, he'd finished 4th to Hacker de Place, and then was going well in the Imperial Cup when making a bit of a bad mistake. So, I kind of don't think that was the worst form anyway. He returned with a good win, winning comfortably, and obviously he's had the run. I think that's crucial here. For a 4-year-old, off a mark of 138, Paul Nicholls could have won a couple of handicaps with him. If he really believes he's this quality, he could have won a couple of handicaps with him. I think they know he's quite smart. And I know he doesn't have the R figures that Theatre Glory, So Royale and Goshen all do. I think there's just so much more to come with Blue King Daru, and they wouldn't be running this 4-year-old here if they didn't think he was a potential grade 1 horse. I think they think he is, and he's going to be my selection in this race, and we're going to get a price about him, 5 to 1 about him, and I think that's worth a bet because I don't like Goshen. I think Theatre Glory, we kind of know her mark. It's about 143. If Blue King Daru can win this and prove to be ahead of that, he's only actually got £7 to find, £5 plus the £2 that he's given him for Theatre Glory for being a mare. Goshen is just so inconsistent. So Royale should be too old, and Strong Leader hasn't really set the world alight yet. So I'm happy to take a bit of a punt on Blue King Daru here for Paul Nicholls, and maybe This is why Harry's come here. Maybe he's come to ride Blue King Daru. They think they've got a really good one on their hands. And the final horse I want to talk about was my only bet earlier this week, so you should know about this one. It's Freya Dam. Now, Freya Dam was one of those that really did need the run for Dan Skelton. Sorry if you heard me coughing then. Don't know where that came from. Freya Dam really needed the run here. Travelled really well. Was going much better than Boot Hill coming into the third last. And then ended up just fading all of a sudden. I think he really needed that run. And this race is actually worth a little bit more prize money. Last time out it was worth 56,950 to the winner. This time it's worth 65. This is the race they want to win. He ran off 135 that day. I liked him. He disappointed. He's dropped to 133 and Tristan takes another 5 off. So he's £7 lower. Whereas Boot Hill is £6 higher. So there's £13. I could not be taking on Freya Dam, especially with Boot Hill. I know Boot Hill is top rated, but I think Freya Dam could be very well handicapped still. And this is the race that they should be aiming to win. Obviously, I think he would have won at Ascot a few runs ago when far too keen out the back. Went off 7-4 favourite. He ran on quite nicely. And then it all went wrong at Ayr. But I think with that run under his belt, I am very, very confident of a big run here for Freya Dam. And you can currently get 5-1 about Freya Dam. Just checking. You can get 11-2, but not at a bookmaker that's... not at multiple bookmakers. I'm just going to mute my phone so that we don't hear my messages coming through. 2 seconds. Done. Okay, so yeah, they are my selections. Freya Dam in the last at Ascot. So a quick recap of those. I like Reelstone. I think they've come to this race to try and win it rather than running him at Ascot where he wouldn't have had a chance. I like Apple Away. I think the trip might find Gaillard de Menil out, who I think wants further. Apple Away doesn't. Plus, Apple Away has some good R figures already achieved. I like Crambo. I think the owner believes it's a Grade 1 horse. I believe it's a Grade 1 horse. Running in a handicap. It's going to have to be to win this. Brave Man's Game, I think, is miles clear of Protectorat. I don't have Protectorat in that top echelon of Grade 1 horses. I do have Brave Man's Game right up there. Similar story with Shishkin and Pictori. I have Shishkin right up there. I don't have Pictori. Blue King Daru, I think, could be very unexposed here and could take a massive step forward here. I think they could have won a couple of handicaps with him. They're not. They're running here instead. Which kind of suggests to me that maybe they think he's much better than what he is, or what he's shown so far. And finally, Freya Dam, as I said, he's £13 better off with Boot Hill. I think he was travelling better than Boot Hill. He just needed the run. So they are my selections for tomorrow.